All right, just past 8 o'clock. It's time to talk some insurance with Sonia from Brian Insurance Agency. And today we're talking about something that's very timely. And, I wonder if Noah had this kind of insurance.
I don't know if he did, but he probably should have. You know, it's funny that you talk about Noah because I was thinking how just a little over a year ago, we were in a terrible drought and how quickly we go from no water to way too much water. It's crazy. So that's why I thought it would be a good thing for us to talk about flood insurance this morning.
Now, when you talk about flood insurance, you could be someplace where I guess what they consider a floodplain. You've got to be prepared for that because when the water comes, it comes in a hurry.
Yes, it does. And the first thing, really the most important thing for people to realize is that homeowners policies, business property policies, almost exclusively do not cover flood. That is an exclusion on almost every property policy. There are a few exceptions, but they're rare. So the first thing, do not assume that your property insurance, whether it's on your home or on your business, that it includes flood coverage, because more than likely it probably doesn't. And yes, it does happen quickly. And the flood policies are written through a national program, so the rules are pretty standardized with all doesn't matter what company that you buy it from. And there's a 30-day waiting period for flood insurance. So you can't wait until you think, uh-oh, the water's rising, I better do something. You have to wait 30 days before your coverage goes into force.
Now, when we talk about flood insurance, it's pretty much backed by the U.S. government, right?
It is. It is. Of course, it's backed by the government, but you pay a premium for it. And one thing that there's a big misconception, and I really don't think that we would ever have to deal with this here in Graham, but, you've heard of the floods in Houston. And, of course, we'll never forget the one in New Orleans. And people, hear that, well, it's been declared a catastrophe by FEMA. And that does not mean that the government is going to just give people money to restore their property. Those disaster assistance, when it does happen, it's a loan that has to be paid back with interest. So you don't want to rely on that to protect your property because it's not what it seems.
Now, we've got a lot of folks listening in that are in Stevens County that just went through horrific flooding in Stevens County. A lot of those folks probably are thinking, okay, I wasn't in a floodplain, but now I realize that I am. What is the moratorium or what is the information on after you've went through a flood about trying to get flood insurance?
You can get flood insurance after your damage has been repaired. You can get flood insurance. And again, don't forget about that 30-day waiting period. And one thing that's interesting is that more than 20% of all flood claims happen outside a high-risk flood area. So, it seems crazy sometimes. And when people, I'll be honest with you, most of the time the people that buy flood insurance are people that have a loan on their business or on their home and their bank makes them have it because it's in a flood zone. But again, over 20% of claims happen outside of a high-risk flood area.
A lot of times I know that in a flood situation like we went through in Stevens County, after the flood has happened, FEMA will step in, offer a lot of low-interest loans and things like that. And I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but do those loans, if you try to get one, do they have to wait till they get the repairs fixed after the flood before they can even try that kind of stuff?
I don't really know about those loans. I just know that they are loans. It's not a grant or anything like that the government gives out. But I know that the purpose of those loans is for people to have the money to repair their damage. And, of course, you could buy flood insurance after your damage has been repaired. And I know it's crazy. People think, well, goodness, they're just always trying to sell me more insurance all the time. I looked up a statistic today, and the average claim, this is over the last 5 years, nationwide, the average flood claim is $42,000. The average flood premium is $700 a year. So it really, unless you're in a high-risk flood zone, it is not very expensive to have flood insurance.
Now, you think about just a couple of inches of water in your home for $700 a year, you're looking at replacing your carpets, baseboards, part of your sheetrocks, and different things like that. I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
Exactly. An inch of water can cost tens of thousands of dollars of damage. Flood is actually the number one disaster in the United States, and you're more likely to have a flood claim than to have a fire claim. So it happens, and it happens a lot. And the time, again, I think I say this every week, the time to think about it is not after you've had a problem. The time to think about it is before. So if you don't know if you can buy flood insurance or what the premium is or the procedure, talk to your agent. It's so important. Just talk to them. Like I said, don't wait until you think, oh, my goodness, what am I going to do? And you have to remember that floods, it doesn't have to be rising rivers or lakes. It could be heavy rains that cause floods. Probably not around here, snow melting, but an overloaded drainage system, sewer backup, that kind of thing. I mean, there's lots of things, not just a river or a lake that overflows that can cause a flood.
All right, last question. When it comes to buying this insurance, do you have to go to a governmental website or you go to a local insurance agent?
You can go to definitely to your agent. I would recommend going to the agent that has your other property insurance because they already know a lot about your business or your home. You can also go online to floodsmart.gov where they can give you information and give you a list of agents. And of course, you can give us a call at Bryan Insurance because we definitely can help you with flood insurance.
So if you think you may have a problem with flooding, today is the day to call, 549-2525. All right, thank you for the information on the flood, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what we come up with next week.
Thanks, Rick.